Here's a look at Thomas the Tank Engine and friends, coming up next when Nick Jr. returns.
Yes, for me. That's for me.
Thomas the Tank Engine is coming up next, on Nick Jr. One of those lovely shiny trains. Oh, I do like choo-choo trains, especially Thomas. Bah.
Welcome to Nick Jr. Here's a look at Thomas the Tank Engine. Join in his adventures and travels, coming up next. Join Thomas the Tank Engine for fun on the railways. Don't forget the Fat Controller, next on Nick Jr. There goes Gordon. And here comes Thomas. Join Thomas and his friends for fun on the railways, next on Nick Jr. Join Thomas the Tank Engine for teasing and tantrums on the tracks. They're next on Nick Jr.
Thomas, 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 Thomas and his friends.
Thomas and friends are next on Nick Jr.
It's full steam ahead. Thomas the Tank Engine is coming up now on Nick. Choo-choo! Thomas the Tank Engine is coming up after this on Nick Jr. Everyone's favourite tank engine, Thomas, is coming up after this on Nick Jr. There's more brand new Thomas and Friends specials after the break on Nick Jr.
Time to join Thomas and friends on Nick Jr. Now it's time to wrap up warm with Thomas and friends on Nick Jr.
All aboard! It's time to join Percy, Henry and Thomas in Thomas and Friends on Nick Jr. too. It's time to jump back on board with Thomas in Thomas and Friends on Nick Jr. too.